Hey everybody, Bobby Jankovic, the broker of Remax Capital. I thought I'd share with you a couple of ideas of things to do with the kids. You've got some time on your hands. If you didn't know, I used to be a school teacher years ago in the late 1990s before I became a real estate licensee. And I have four kids of my own, and just thought we maybe could toss some ideas around and share some good ideas. I've got a few thoughts. The first one came to me from Jeff, who's a tenant of ours here at the office, and we were talking about this about a half an hour ago. And he said, "Hey, I'm teaching my kids cursive because the schools don't have time to teach that anymore, and he worries that they're not going to be able to sign their name." So what a great idea! Bring out those cursive books. I'm sure you can Google that stuff online. Get the kids to learn some cursive. That ought to prove to be very useful in their future. And some of the kids might actually like it, especially those who are artistically inclined. I know my children have struggled with their handwriting, some of them, and others have really gotten into it. Personally, I don't know. If I put my mind to it, I can make it happen and make it look good. But problem is, I usually don't put my mind to it. So have fun with that cursive. The other thing I see a lot, is those Velcro shoes. Man, I never liked that. I hate taking the time to tie my shoes. I do, but when I see kids that don't know how to tie that knot, I'm like, man, that's not good. That's not good for anybody. Let's take the extra 30 seconds and get out the door and tie those shoes. And what a skill. And then throw in some other knots, like a slip knot or, there's like a gazillion different types of knots. And that's fun stuff, but some of those knots are really important. And you never know when you're going to have to tie something down on a truck or in a pickup or on a bed or something like that. So good life skill to learn how to tie knots. Again, all available on the internet. Um, the analog clock. Uh, you know, Kids they learn it real briefly, but there's no analog clocks anywhere, and digital is just so pervasive now, and we never even have to reset our clocks. We don't have to adjust our clocks. Some of us do in the car and stuff like that, but get the kids to master. See over my shoulder there? Where is it? Get the kids to master that sucker. And that brings in one of my favorites is 24-hour time. My dad was in the military, so and he'd go away, and I just always identified with 24-hour time. So my kids just through watching me know what 14:30 is, and I did not serve. I was not a service member. I thank you everyone that did, but military time. 24-hour time is very well known in my house, and it's kind of fun, and it's a little puzzle every time you try to read what time it is. And I know to those of you who serve, it is like second nature to you. Um, I don't know, man. Bake some bread. That's hard to do. Um, it, I used to bake bread, and I love it because I like bread, and nothing better than the smell of bread as it's baking. But it's hard to do, and it'll take you a few times. But when you've got this long period before you, in a matter of a couple of weeks, you can probably be a master baker at bread. And what a rewarding experience for a family to make bread and then break bread together. I just think it's a lot of fun, and it really brings the family together. Um, teach them how to address an envelope. You know, um, who sends mail anymore? And what is an address? How do you write it? And what are the different component parts? And you know, where do you put the return? I know they teach this stuff at some point in schooling, but it probably goes in and out really quickly and doesn't stick because there's no application. And if you're addressing envelopes, go on and get a pen pal. Did you guys ever do that? Okay, I didn't, but my sister did. And these people develop long time relationships. And I think my sister did, but somebody had a pen pal. Get a pen pal and get the kids working on their cursive. What amazing stories that they'll be able to share with pen pals. I don't have a list of people for you. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it, right? Um, if your child is older, Maybe think about having some fun and changing the oil on the car with them, or teaching them to balance a checkbook. What in the world is a checkbook? Who does checks? At some point they've got to learn the accounting and the reconciliation of what's in the account and what a liability means. Hey, I gave this out, it hasn't been, oh, they didn't cash it, so I still have it. They've got to learn all that, and balancing a checkbook is one way. Um, those ledgers are important. They're there for a reason, and they're going to help your children be successful. And on that note, maybe teach them the budget process, budgeting for the week, budgeting for the month, budgeting for the year. What sources of income do they have? How much do they plan to spend on this and that? Just a lot of fun. One last thing I thought might be fun, get them back in touch with their faith. That's going to be different for everybody. But don't forget about the good book, whatever your good book is. Maybe get them to spend a little bit of time thinking about that. I know if you're a churchgoer, you're probably not going right now because you can't, but maybe some of us have gotten away or need a new introduction, and I think that's important these days. Um, Find your beacon and get reconnected with what's important. Hey, I hope that's helpful. Enjoy it. Enjoy this time. Stay positive. Looks like we got some gloomy days ahead, some gloomy weeks, and some gloomy news to come. But stay occupied, stay positive, and thanks for joining me. Share your good ideas below. I'd like to see them.